like we saw earlier, or like we predicted earlier, we have 2 teams in the finals with Malice, Ryziel plus X. And in the case of Team Ragnarok, that third deck is Memento. And in case of Team T2, that third deck is Branded. As we jump into the match between the 2 captains here, which is Nicky Boy going first against Mist, aka Herman, which we know by now is a Ryziel versus Ryziel Fiendsmith matchup.
That is indeed true, and we immediately see one of the core differences between the 2 decks, because 7th Tachyon usually only is a card you include in the pure version of the deck, and I mean, we have seen Nicky Boy playing, and that is pure Ryziel. Oh, yeah, there is something to respond to the Ice Ryziel with, and there is Max.
Okay.
Mist has successfully drawn that card, and is successfully resolving.
That's big, that's big. I mean, here's the thing, right? Ryziel is, on the one hand, not bad into Maxi, because you can still go like Ice, Special Star, set the trap or the field spell, depending on which you prefer, make a detonator and pass the turn, which honestly, even though it's not full potential for the deck, it is still a respectable amount of interruptions considering you're under max, right? One of the strongest cards in the game. So I honestly think this is not too bad. On the other hand, because we started with 7th Tachyon, we are already down a card. So we... Oh, Towns here is big though.
Let's have a look all together. Miss Sand, let's unreveal. Oh, there's
a very good
hand there. And there's Engraver, and there's... I guess you just go after the one Ryziel card in this to keep it completely limited to the...
Here's the thing, right? There's 2 answers to Detonator in double impermanence. So you can't get rid of the answer to Detonator. There was 2 ways to access Fiendsmith with Engraver and Sank.
Yeah.
So I think the only logical thing here is take away the Ryziel access if they don't draw one for turn here, which is what they go for. So we know there's 2 impermanents, one Called by the Grave, a Sanct, and an Engraver. And for Nicky Boy, all we do know is that the set card is Ryziel Plasma Hole, which is going to be a powerful interruption here. However, the Detonator is not going to be able to be used. We use Engraver here, showing that we play not only Sank, but also Track. We play both copies of the spells.
I was about to ask that. I think the Fiendsmith Ryziel deck is one that definitely leans in a little bit more on the Ryziel, on the Fiendsmith cards, right? So it's not like a super small package.
You're kind of forced to do so, right? Because you simply, like, there's a limit to how many Ryziel cards you can play with 1 Bonfire and 2 X Ryziel, so like you kind of have to. With Fiendsmith, you can almost go as big as you like in terms of the engine, right? You can play up to 3 Tracked. You can technically play up to 3 Sanct if you really want to have access to cards.
Absolutely. Because I think in the TCG, it has been a recent development that there was just like some really small Fiendsmith packages of maybe only including 1 Engraver and 1 Sanct. So in some cases, looking at that hand in the TCG might mean they can't even activate the Engraver.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe... Because I understand the inclusion of Fiendsmith Sanct. So sometimes you look at your hand and you're like, okay, if I go Engraver to add Track now, I'm going to be really weak to a Drolin Lockbird. So I'm just going to go ahead and play Sanct instead, because that, even though it has downsides, but it does allow you to do the stuff, and it does not play into Drolin Lockbird as hard. So I think that's why Herman has chosen to just include like 1 copy, so that he has the choice of playing around the Drolin Lockbird with the Engraver when he feels like it.
Yeah, I like it as well, for sure. And now the X-Rise is going to try to resolve, but it will be stopped by Effect
We do
Fader.
know there's a Called by the Grave, though, which you could choose to use here. Also, of course, the X-Ryziel here confirms that we, in fact, have drawn a Ryziel card again, right? That was the only card we didn't know about. We took away a Ryziel starter with the Talons, and they just drew one right away again.
That's how you win Duelist Cups, ladies and gentlemen. And Mist does decide to use the Called by the Grave here on the Effect Veiler.
Yeah,
so we will resolve the X-Ryziel.
Was the X-Ryziel special summoned, or did we normal summon it?
Good question. I couldn't quite tell.
Because by normal summoning it, you would be not locked into rank 4s yet, which would be neat, technically, so you could still do some Fiendsmith stuff. And honestly, with the hand that we know Herman has, I think we might not need the normal summon.
And there's the confirmation. So that is a Link summon after, and that is a Link to including a Light Fiend, which always indicates going to Fiendsmith sequence. And that is what we are... Oh, immediately answered by the Ryziel Plasma Hole now. Destroys
You're kind of forced to do so, right? Because if you let that resolve, it can just summon Desiree, and that's going to be forcing the Plasma Hole anyways. However, this means that we can still use Engraver here. Interestingly enough, we could have shuffled back the sequence, because we could technically remake it and then use it, because we haven't used it yet.
Ooh, and we're chaining the Fiendsmith Sanct. As long as we still have no face-up monsters on the field, that can, of course, be used to produce a token. Meaning now, though, that if we somehow get back to our Ryziel cards, they cannot attack this turn.
Exactly.
As we can only
Fiendsmith
attack the
Sanct
light fiend
has
monsters.
the drawback of not being able to attack with anything that's not a fiend monster.
Oh yeah, not light fiend, but only fiends, you're right.
All the fiends, yes. All fiends. It has another drawback that's not written on the card, but the fact that your light fiend that you're getting from it is a token actually means that it won't be going into the graveyard, which means you can no longer use it as like as a material for future engravers or future fusion summons. So that sometimes is the reason why it's considered a weaker starter than Fiendsmith cracked into Lurry. Because of course you would think like, okay, why would I include like the Lurry in my deck if I can also start combos with Sanct? It's of course the fact that the Lurry will be a light feed in your graveyard most of the time. We see Fiendsmith Tract fusing in the graveyard now, which means the token and the engraver are going to turn into Fiendsmith Lacrima.
That is indeed what we do. And while we have Ryziel on Ryziel action here at table A, we do see really Malice running the show on both Duel B and Duel C.
It's just on both tables. Malice went first and is just enjoying their life right now. So I guess that's only fair. Both of the Malice decks are looking to take a win here for both teams. Potentially, of course, the games have not finished yet, but if that would be the case, then that would put the match to a 1-1 with both Malice decks taking a game here. Of course, with Malice being considered still, even with Ryziel release, honestly, I think most players I've talked to still consider Malice the strongest deck in Master Duel right now. Everyone knows and understands that Ryziel is a good deck, and in a 3-deck format, Ryziel is definitely among the 3 best decks for most people.
For sure.
But everyone I've talked to agrees that Malice at the current power level is still a level above the Ryziel deck.
Actually, hold on, Josh. That is a lot of damage, isn't it?
It is.
Look,
this is enough, yeah.
Wow. So we do not care about the fact that we do only have the ability to attack with Fiend monsters, because all we attack with is Fiend monsters, and that is the game here for Miss.
With the inclusion of the Fiendsmith Agnum Day, of course, you open up a whole world of high damage turns for Ryziel.
And look into what kind of a situation we've gotten ourselves into here. That is a Chainlink 5 Forbidden Droplet from Abu Hamud. And that is huge.
I mean, if there's any deck or player that I would kind of trust to break a strong board going second, it would be Abo on Branded.
Yes.
Because, of course, with the Branded deck, it's no wonder that they didn't have any disruptions on the opponent's turn, because it's typically like 60-card deck. Doesn't even play a whole lot of those.
Oh my.
But you see those cards exactly in the deck often.
We're off to a turbulent turn here. Oh, I mean, you usually want to hold this for Branded Fusion, but finding Branded Fusion as a 2-off in 60 cards, of course, is not guaranteed. Oh, and that actually is enough.
All right. Right as I said, if there's anyone to break that board, it would be Abo. We concede the game. We have another droplet into a Malice board, actually. It's funny how similar these games are, because Branded was trying to beat the full Malice board with a droplet. Now we have Goblin Biker, Memento trying to defeat a Malice board with Forbidden Droplet. We'll see if either of these players will succeed, or if the full Malice board is just too strong for both of these players. I will say the troll is not helping the cause here of the Memento deck. However, I also think Memento in particular, I think, struggles into Malice going second, because the non-target banishes are so powerful against it.
Yeah,
like, even if you have access to a Goblin Biker Grand Breakout, a Mementolan Bone Party or something, because the banishes don't target, they can just
karma situation there for Nicky Boy, because Nicky Boy was flexing before this finals. I am 8-0 in the tournament so far. I haven't dropped a single game, and obviously in the first game, right away of the finals,
I could have told you this beforehand. If you say this, you are gonna drop your next game. It's just, those are some. We don't make the rules. This is like when you've played a going first deck for hours and hours, and you're like, I keep losing these coin tosses. Let me switch to a blind second deck, like Tenpai or something. The rule is just you win the first coin toss.
Yeah,
that's just how it is.
That's how the rules are. And there is now Maxi being ashed by Mist. Mist is really having a good day here today. Just defeated Nicky Boy, and now is ready to do the same to Abu Hamud.
The Ice Ryziel as well. We talked about it earlier, how that is by far the best starter for the Fiendsmith Ryziel deck.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't have as many copies of this card as you would like in the deck, because you only have access to one bonfire. It doesn't really matter when you just draw it. You know, just draw Ice Ryziel. Not that difficult.
Very, very right. And we also see, I think, that Luca is actually going first for Team Storm of Ragnarok as well on table
tough.
C.
That's
but
tough.
he just got his Dormouse impermed, so maybe some hope there for his opponent for Team T2. Meanwhile, Mist just transforming those Riser cards into two monsters being away into Fiends of Requiem, so we get that engine going now right away.
This, of course, courtesy of the fact that Ice Riseal does not lock you into rank 4s if you normal summon it and use its effect. It only locks you, all of the Riseals only lock you into rank 4s when you use them to special summon themselves from the hand.
That is true, and now we can activate the effect of Fiends of Requiem in the graveyard, so I think the next thing to expect here would be these two to be transformed into the Necrocup Princess, but no, we go for the Engraver first. Can you explain why we sequence it that way? I always thought it's better to go into the Necrocup Princess first, but we see Mist not going that way around.
I assume it just doesn't matter in this particular instance, because the main reason to make the Necrocup first is if you expect something along the lines of a DD Crow or a Ghost Bell onto the Engraver, because then you would be able to draw a card with the Necroquip. However, I think Mist, honestly, just not expecting those cards from the branded.
Yeah,
I think honestly, I think that's the reason. I think normally you're correct. Right. I think if you really wanted to maximize efficiency, you would usually make the Necrocup first in this instance, but I just think against branded, it probably won't make a difference, which it didn't here. Also, we see on
Duel A is interesting, right? Because I think on Duel A, we see there is Artifact Lancea being dropped by Nicky Boy. He's not up against a Malice strategy, though, but he's up against Memento from Nash. Yeah. But there also is that Baguska sitting there on the field, so I would imagine there was a Maxi. There was a Maxi, here.
In fact, yes. This is it's Nicky Boy for the second time. Yeah, it's dropped it again. For the second time in this final so far, Nicky Boy has been hit with a Maxi when going first, and it has resolved both times, which is not a great time, funnily enough.
It's crazy. So we put all of our hope into the Baguska, which is now no longer able to do anything as it is negated by that Forbidden Droplet, and we are even resolving our Dark Blade now as well.
Yeah, the Dark Blade is resolving, and from what we can see, no disruptions on the side of Nicky Boy here, unless there's some stuff hidden in the hand. Of course, we know there's a Lancea active, which, you know what, against Memento, it does stop some things. Like, I've played Memento during, like, basically Malice format before Riseal came out, and there was a couple of times where I got Lancea'd, and at first glance, I was like, you know what, that's fine. I'm playing Memento. It doesn't matter. But then you realize, okay, sometimes missing out on that Memento and Fusion Graveyard effect, and as well as the combined, no, not combined, Creation King Graveyard effect to banish itself to get the Field Spell, sometimes it matters.
Absolutely. And I think mostly it starts to matter when there is another interruption coming from your opponent, because you do find a way usually when you can just do whatever you like.
It's very similar to the Droll and Lockbird we talked about earlier. Like, when you're going first and you get hit with a Lancea, you can figure out a way to play without the Field Spell, or even get the Field Spell in another way. There's other scenarios. Like, you can send the Field Spell from deck to graveyard and then add it back from the graveyard, or you can
search it with Maze.
Exactly, you can use Maze to get it. So there's ways, but when your opponent has a field already and that limits your ways, then maybe that's difficult. However, here, not the case, actually. Even though Nicky Boy went first, not much of a field here. Well, there's a Baguska, but it's been negated.
It is negated, indeed. And now we have the fusion. Akihiron already resolved, means we do have that option to just attack directly with our Creation King and our combined creation. And I think...
So tough. It's so hard to stop when...
Oh,
now there's the Lancea. It actually wasn't active yet, but now we chain it because now the fusion is in the graveyard. We didn't have a reason to use it beforehand, but...
Oh,
that's funny.
The call by the grave.
And this is where...
Oh, God. Okay. Of course, Nicky Boy sees the writing on the wall. Undefeated until the finals, and now dropping back-to-back matches here to those Storm of Ragnarok members. And we go back to the table of Mist here.
From undefeated until the finals, we go to undefeating in the finals.
That's sometimes how it is. And we once again have another episode of Abu Hamud trying to break a field with his branded deck. And I mean, there is still a Caesar, though, and it doesn't look like it has used effect yet.
Caesar is a very strong card against branded, of course, being able to negate effects that special summon, which includes Branded Fusion, one of the key cards of the deck, but not just once, but twice.
Okay, there's the Lacrima now as well. Lacrima activates its effect. And we do send Fiends Within Paradise to the graveyard too. And there's only 2 cards in hand remaining for Abu Hammoud. What could this even be? Okay, hold on. Triple Tactic Frost. That can either be Branded Fusion, but Branded Fusion just doesn't really do too much into the Caesar, so maybe it's Grass. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to put a very decent couple of cards into the graveyard here with that. Grass looks greener. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25.
Exactly 25.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
And I did catch some cards that I can activate for sure. I think
Go ahead. What was it?
There was trap cards involved, which I think it was either the Retribution or Banishment. Of course, it would be significantly better if it was Retribution.
Ooh, negating the Sarony here.
Ooh,
we are
okay, what are we afraid of here, of the Saren here?
Very quickly analyzed by Mist as well, right? He didn't even waste any time. He was like, okay, yeah, I want to really make sure that is not going to resolve. So maybe it's just obvious that there is no other combination of things in the graveyard, and we really needed that Sarony to get that Retribution to the graveyard, for example.
Or like the valuable card to get back with Retribution. Like maybe there's Retribution, but nothing great to add back. And like Mist just wants to limit the amount of cards they have to worry about. Because right now, just 1 card in hand, and honestly, I can't think of many cards that really help against Caesar.
Go into the battle phase. Go ahead and double those 2. There's Aluber activating, but that is something we can and probably should negate with... Oh, we are targeting the Lacrima, though, interestingly enough.
Probably because we assume that the Caesar is going to negate it no matter what.
What would have been so bad about getting that Aluber onto the field, though? That felt like something we could have possibly allowed, maybe?
We probably could have. At the same time, there's only 1 card left in hand.
We may as well.
So
you're right.
You might as well, I think.
You may as well, and that is 1 set card into the end phase. How big of an end phase is it going to be for the branded deck here? Historically known to just do like 10 things every end phase. That was the first thing there with the Cartesia being added back. Okay. Keeps on going. That turn is definitely far away from being done, but oh no, it's only that.
Far away from being done.
And it's done, yeah. Jinxed it. What can you do? Sometimes you send 25 cards from a deck to the graveyard and still you don't really find the right combination of cards. Still, it was the correct thing from Abu Hammoud to do, right? Because searching for Branded Fusion just would have not resulted in anything because there is the Caesar to stop it. So you had to rely on that variance factor there to find like a really, really good combination of cards off of the grass.
I suppose the only other thing you could have gone for is just a Hail Mary Triple Tactics Talents to draw 2.
Fair.
Okay, Fusion Duplication here. Fusion Duplication is actually interesting here because it has a very unique interaction with the DDD Wave Hiking Caesar. And also something like an Ash Blossom, for example. Because Fusion Duplication itself does not actually special summon or send a card from deck to graveyard when it copies Branded Fusion, which is why you can't negate it with something like Ash Blossom or Caesar because it just copies another card's effect. So this actually plays around the Caesar here a little bit. Of course, Duplication, a very common card in these big branded piles these days because it's like it's essentially your go-to thrust target when you're going first.
Ooh, but now with the Lubellion, though, that is a card that is going to be able to be negated with the Stealth card.
But only if we chain it accordingly, right? Like because we send Tragedy from deck to grave. We can go Chainlink 1 Lubellion, Chainlink 2 Tragedy, and then the Caesar will not be able to respond to the Lubellion.
Very true. So that Tragedy is probably going to be activated. We used the Fiends Within Paradise there on the Lubellion, but I feel like that Lubellion is not going to be on the field there for very long anyhow.
Well, Paradise is not the removal yet, right? We're going to go into the desert now, and then we can target later.
Yeah, sometimes I'm a little quick with that one. I skipped that one step where you actually have to send the card. In my head, Fiends Within Paradise just always equals the effect of Fiends with Desiree, which ultimately it will.
Paradise is like one of the slowest removal things you can go for because it takes multiple steps for you, especially when you don't have it in your graveyard yet. It's like, okay, first I have to go Lacrima in the graveyard, bring back the Requiem, then I have to tag out the Requiem into the Lacrima from my deck, send the Paradise, wait for my opponent to summon, activate the Paradise, wait for the Paradise to resolve, send Desiree, and now I can send.
That actually...
But you get it for free, so it's fine.
Yes, it is very fine. Just the moment you do draw it, you start to realize, oh, maybe it's not so free anymore. I'm paying the price of drawing it every second game, but I don't think Mist drew it in this game, and he now uses the effect of the Send Desiree to go after Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon, which obviously immediately is going to chain its effect. Probably going to deal with the Caesar here, if I would have to guess. Sends a Rindbram. Okay, that is another way to possibly get another interruption out here on Mist's turn. Oh, and we have another result update there. This is actually match point for Team Storm of Ragnarok, for Team Captain Mist. If Mist wins this game, that
they
team
win the tournament.
Wins the tournament.
They win the tournament, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I would not be surprised if that will be the case here, because it is, first of all, looking very good for Mist, and also they all just played this final series very well. And of course, once again, just proving, we all knew that already, but they're just proving once again that they are a deserving representative for Europe at this year's WCS. And of course, they are showing us that we have great things to expect from them.
Ooh, and actually, we did banish the Lacrima instead of the Caesar, and now we just activate the effect of Aluber to go after the Caesar, which then, of course, deals with that effect as well. So that is perfect. Oh, we don't even negate it, actually.
Yeah, it's because it was chaining 1 Aluber, chainlink 2 Mirror Jade. They once again have outplayed the Caesar by creating the chainlinks in a way where it couldn't respond. However, the problem still is, this was just all in the draw phase of Mist's turn, so they still have a whole turn ahead of themselves, and I don't know how much Abo is going to have to throw in the way here. We're going to be using the cross to draw an extra card like it's nothing, and then we're going to see. There is a response, though.
I mean, it probably is going to be the Rindbram in the graveyard, right?
Yeah. Question is, when exactly can we use the Rindbram, because we kind of have to use it before a Ryziel Xyz monster hits the field, because then the cross negation would be live.
Totally. There is Ice Ryziel,
another Ice
normal
Ryziel.
Summon. Wow, that is so good. And it will resolve. Looks like Team Storm of Ragnarok does not even want to go into this third set. They are confident enough to just keep on winning and keep on winning clearly. And they want to go for another 5-1 victory here. That now activates the effect of Granganol, though. A monster has been special summoned through a monster effect.
Yeah, and that is going to give us any Despia monster. So we are going to go for Guiding Quem, the Virtuous, which of course is treated as a Dogmatica as well as a Despia card. And that's the thing, of course, it's looking good for Mist right now, but if there's one deck and one player, I would never count out, even if it seems like they own low resources, it's branded on Abo, or Abo on branded rather.
It melts together. You can put it the other way around. It's fine. Yeah, it's basically the same thing at this point. You don't have to worry. Okay, now is the moment we activate the Rindbram, actually.
Yeah, exactly. We kind of have to.
Oh my, but there is also Called by the Grave still, just going after the target that we try to bring back, just trying to bring back Fawn of Albus, but not with Mist.
That's tough. That is very tough. At this point, even I am struggling to see a way for Abo out of this one. I think if that set card was not a like a strong card right now, I think there was a way. But right now, okay.
Wow. Mist just flexing at this point, taking control of a monster here with that triple tactic talents. And I mean, quite handily, both of these monsters are level 4 monsters, so we can just use them for our Exceed summons here, which is pretty funny.
And this is convenient because the Quem, of course, was threatening to revive something if we access our extra deck.
Yes.
And even though Mist has the cross ready to negate, I suppose you just want to hold that cross negate for something unexpected. And so we're just taking away the Quem, and at this point, I think it is only a matter of time until Herman will finish this match in just the second round of matches. Such a strong performance once again. Not only are they winning this tournament, I believe they have not even gone through the full 9 games in a single one of their matches.
They won round 5-2, so they were at least in the third set, but they didn't have to go into the last game. They were still preemptively winning that third round. Yeah. So definitely a huge showing by the team. Yeah. And I think that may as well have been the first time ever that Guiding Quem was used for an Exceed summon, right? That really happens very rarely, because that deck in branded, of course, just never goes for... There is never even Exceed cards in the extra deck.
I've synchro summoned with it before.
Fair enough, you do crazy things, we all know that with your runic cards, but that Quem really being underneath the Duo Drive. To be fair, there's many crazy people on Master, right? There probably someone has done it before, actually playing an Exceed deck with Quem. I wouldn't rule it out. The creativity is endless when you enter the Master Duel sphere. Sometimes, like even today, I played a match and then there were like just it started out as a Centurion deck, and then all of a sudden there were Blue Eyes cards as well, and then it just didn't stop on. Kept on, and there were Riser cards all of a sudden as well. I was kept on being more and more surprised. But there is now also Fiendsmith Sequence going into Fiendsmith Lacrima, using the effect.
And at this point, I think we have way more than enough damage to move into a battle phase here, unless we want to play with our food a little bit longer, I suppose.
Mist wants to have some more
I think
fun.
we might even know both cards in hand, right? Because it was both added back in the end phase. I think it's Cartesia and branded in High Spirits.
I think we discarded one of the two for the Rebellion, so there might be one unknown card still.
No, but then the other card would be the one we added off of the tragedy.
You're right. Okay, yeah. So yeah, you're right. Then we do definitely know everything in the hand,
Yeah.
so we can just be completely careless. Summon out the Node Riser there as well. That is next to the Agnum Day, which is already ready to bring another one step back from the graveyard. So we have to make sure here to actually go into another rank 4 because we want to free up the zone to summon into with the Agnum Day.
Some might call this unnecessary amount of plays when you already clearly have game. On the other hand, it does really nicely showcase the potential of this deck, right? Like a normal Ryziel deck would not have even had the possibility to summon this many times, right? The combos would have been done by now. But by adding the Fiendsmith cards, I mean, literally half of the cards on the field, if not more, are just due to including the Fiendsmith cards.
That is very true. And now that is the final sequences of this very special tournament. We do have the honorable attack from Ryziel Duo Drive, ending not only this game, but also the set, also the match, and therefore also the tournament.
Yeah.
And we can finally end here for declare Team